Okay, let's talk about Weebly, which I think is a company that is vastly more successful than the public realizes.
I agree with you, absolutely.
And Sequoia just did a later stage investment in it, and I saw an article in like the San Francisco Chronicle about how much office space they just rented. And this is based on, we should mention, my understanding is like from the article, the revenues and profits. It's a real company, not it's not like a bunch of users or something like that.
That's exactly right.
It's a profitable revenue generating company. Basically, it's sort of like you can make it's for regular people to make websites. So it's like kind of Dreamweaver, one of these website development tools, but in the cloud. And
who knew people want to build websites, right?
Well, but there were tools before, but who knew they wanted to do them on the web? And actually, this whole space has been really like Wix and what's the other one, like Squarespaces or
Squarespaces.
There's like a bunch of really successful companies. So we hear a lot of buzzwords about the cloud and this and that. Turns out though, like here's an example of a sector that's been really successful from a revenue and profits point of view, which is basically taking these existing client-side tools and putting them in a hosted version or something, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, essentially, it's WYSIWYG, if you will. What you see is what you get. Development for the web. And
like Weebly, didn't you mention some number? Like what percentage of websites now are?
Yeah, last year, 1 in every 10 websites, so 10% of all websites created on the internet were created on Weebly.
It's amazing.
And it's kind of crazy. You're right. Up and until this big round that we just did with Sequoia, they had only ever raised $760,000. And the interesting thing about Weebly is that back in 2007, when I led the investment, most people were like, websites, what's that? It's all about social. It's all about MySpace, if you remember those days, and Facebook and those things. And Weebly has been 100% focused on creating a quality product that's easy to use. And now they have millions of users daily coming to the site, building sites. They've got real revenues. And that's what really, frankly, attracted Sequoia, because it was their growth fund that invested a significant amount of dollars into the company. And it's one of the best kept secrets in Silicon Valley.
Yeah. And I remember you introduced me to the founders a couple of years. I mean,
they look like they're teenagers, but they were 22 when I backed them, and so David, Chris, and Dan still look like they're teenagers, but they're now they're mature adults in their mid-20s.
So what do you so at the time, like, what was your investment thesis? Was just obviously you thought they were talented, but it was people want to make websites.
It's kind of the same thing, frankly, as with Kevin. Yeah, I met the guys. I really like what they were doing. They're passionate about their product. They really cared about it, which is something that you see in most of the companies I invest in, and as a common thread. And there was a technology there, and it worked, and you could just go on and you could see other people, what they were creating, and you went, yes, that they're creating something of value. And so my thesis has always been, if you create something of value and you have some technology backing that, then the chances of having a success at some level are really, really high.
I think like when you introduced me to the guys, they were actually pivoting into a thing where you create ads or something.
Oh yeah,
so they sort of almost did a bad pivot, it sounds like, but then unpivoted.
That's right. That's right. We had what's really funny is that Adam Bain, who's now at Twitter running revenue there, was at MySpace running the ad network there, and he was like, "Here's what we need. We need this easy to create ad creator that optimizes really fast." And so we thought, we have this core technology, we should try that. And turns out that we built it, but there really wasn't that much of a market for it. So we almost did a bad pivot and spent time going after that.
Does that mean at the time you weren't getting significant traction on the core business? I mean, you must have if you were considering.
Well, we were, yeah, it's a good question, but we hadn't really monetized it to the degree that they're monetizing it today.
I see.
And so I saw Adam last week, and I said, the best thing that ever happened to Weebly is that you didn't try to buy them for that technology, because they went back to what their core business, and it's just been blossoming. So,
interesting.
Yeah, that's the story behind Weebly.